LGBT to the hearing of everyone in this house. I sat here and repeatedly heard him
Honorable Minister,
shout at the top of his voice and refer to me as a practitioner of LGBTQ. And every single last one of you is behaving as if you didn't hear it. And if in response to that I say he is mad, it is only a madman who will refer to his colleague in this house as a practitioner of LGBTQ.
Honorable Minister,
When you haven't caught me having sexual intercourse with your wife or your daughter or your mother,
Honorable
you sit
Minister,
there and refer to me in those terms. In those terms.
Honorable Minister,
And we call ourselves honorable members of this house. When you all hear it and pretend that suddenly you've lost your sense of hearing.
Honorable Minister, I beg of you, do me that honest, please. Honorable Minister, I beg of you, just do me that honest, please. Just do me that honest.
We are all unanimous, and indeed, every member of this house, I have not encountered one person in this house who says that he is going to oppose this bill.
Any honorable member who disagrees with the submissions just made by the Honorable Andy Appiah Kubi that all the 275 are in support of the bill. Anybody who disagrees, be on your feet and I will recognize you.
Should never accept that other cultures are superior to ours, such that they must insist and demand that we copy the things they do, even if it is inconsistent with the way we live our lives and how we want our countries to be run.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, I am inclined to say that the countries practicing LGBTQ activity, I gave them 50 years as prophet. They will be extinct on earth. Most of those countries will no longer exist on earth. Very soon, they may even have to be taking labor force from countries not practicing the LGBTQ activity.
Mr. Speaker, lastly, the sad thing is that you see two people who decide to be lesbian or homosexuals trying to adopt children. Who should go and give birth to his child for you to come and adopt? Look at this madness. Who should go and deliver a child for you to come and adopt? If having children is good, why are you into that nasty act?
Enforcing the rights of American citizens to refuse to offer services to people on the basis of their faith and because they were LGBTQ. Mr. Speaker, it shows you that even America has realized the error of their judgment.
Unanimous, and indeed, every member of this house, I have not encountered one person in this house who says that he is going to oppose this bill.
Any honorable member who disagrees with the submissions just made by the Honorable Andy Appiah Kubi that all the 275 are in support of the bill. Anybody who disagrees, be on your feet and I will recognize you.
Should never accept that other cultures are superior to ours, such that they must insist and demand that we copy the things they do, even if it is inconsistent with the way we live our lives and how we want our countries to be run.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, I am inclined to say that the countries practicing LGBTQ activity, I gave them 50 years as prophet. They will be extinct on earth. Most of those countries will no longer exist on earth. Very soon, they may even have to be taking labor force from countries not practicing the LGBTQ activity.
Mr. Speaker, lastly, the sad thing is that you see two people who decide to be lesbian or homosexuals trying to adopt children. Who should go and give birth to his child for you to come and adopt? Look at this madness. Who should go and deliver a child for you to come and adopt? If having children is good, why are you into that nasty act?
Enforcing the rights of American citizens to refuse to offer services to people on the basis of their faith and because they were LGBTQ. Mr. Speaker, it shows you that even America has realized the error of their judgment.
Well, this is just snippets of what happened in Parliament when it appeared, at least when the Speaker asked that if any MP is against this anti-LGBTQ plus bill, they should own up, raise their hands. None of the MPs present did so. So there is that wide acknowledgement that all 275 MPs support this anti-LGBTQ plus bill. We will talk about it this morning because those things, or the proceedings in Parliament about this, the debate of this bill when it was laid the second time, was not without drama. Aside from the drama, there are other groups that have raised other issues concerning rights. We'll get into that because we'll be joined by lawyers. Help us understand if there's any conversation about rights in this particular anti-LGBTQ plus bill, even after the recommendations by the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee have been considered and duly inculcated into this bill. Stay with me. We'll get into that here on Key Point on TV3. Also, in Parliament, the minority carried through the directive of the leadership to boycott proceedings whenever any of their colleagues facing any court case appears in court. There are three of them: Collins Dauda, Dr. Casey Latofos, the minority leader himself, and James Gyakye-Quayson. This week, James Gyakye-Quayson was in court. All 137 NDC MPs did not attend to the business of the House that day. Number of reactions to it, that whether it can't be sustained and whether this move is not denying the constituents their representation. The MPs are resolute that this is the action to send the right message about what they describe as the political persecution and not the prosecution of these three MPs. Also, the Office of Special Prosecutor released a half-year report, some 150 cases being considered, no prosecutions as we speak. That has got some of the the public policy analysts raising questions about whether we are making the most out of what we are investing into the Office of Special Prosecutor. Well, the OSP is asking for more money because it says that it needs resources to fight corruption. How much of that? We'll get into it this morning. As always, we are very, very interactive here on Key Point. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okanse. This is Key Point. My guest will be joining me right after this quick break. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Life is becoming stressful. You just have to chill and have a taste of something delicious, like a taste of the West Africa tour by Adansi Travels as they celebrate their 10th anniversary. It's a fun-filled road trip on a luxurious bus starting from Accra to Keta in Ghana, Cotonou in Benin, Lagos in Nigeria, Lomé in Togo, and back to Accra, Ghana. You can choose the 7 days package at a rate of From 21st to 27th August, your accommodation, breakfast, lunch and dinner, tours, security and travel insurance are all sorted. So pack your bags and let's have a taste of West Africa. Call 0595 500 817 or 0556 310 404. Adansi Travels. Few life's beauty.
We're going to scrutinize every bachelor that comes on this show. Your money is our money, my money is my money.
Did you get it?
Yes. I'm here to win the husband material. My mom tells me I'm the best man anyone can have because she personally prepared me for that.
Equally, you're also very neat in the kitchen.
So rare to see a man that can cook.
Food is love. Simple.
Is he hot?
He's hot. If I feel insecure about your female friends and I tell you not to hang out with them anymore, are you going to do it or you're not going to do it?
This marriage will not happen.
10 valiant men, all poised to battle for their bragging right.
Old wine is say improves as time goes on. The stars have aligned for us in this moment. Our time is now. We did not come to first time shows. We came with our own. Fresh power, phenomenal strength, new and never seen before.
Who takes the title? Ghana's Strongest, the power to do.
Catch the new season of Ghana's Strongest Sunday at 4 p.m. only on TV3. Ghana's Strongest is powered by Gasem, the nation builder. Brought to you by Mixi Choco, Channel Hot,
Deluxy acrylic paint,
Drugnet.
This week on Today's Woman, we speak to another phenomenal trailblazer, Dr. Nadia Adongo Finn. She got to Canada when she was 20, specialized in gerontology, and of course, engaged herself in a bunch of community activities. She's back home here in Ghana, occupying the office of Deputy Director of Diasporan Affairs. Make a date with us this Saturday, 3 p.m. right here on TV3.
Today's Woman, all new season with Cookie Tea show Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Latex Foam, Vlisco.
My name is Eno Craigrin. Join me and the beautiful ladies from the Ladies Circle and let's talk motherhood.
I've heard of moms who have also stepped down because they stayed a year and a half or two to take care of their children.
I don't believe in being like a super mom. Thought I was when I first had my baby. Very quickly, you get humbled and you realize you can't.
Sometimes the fathers and husbands don't understand what it takes to be a mom.
People need to just understand who they are and how things work with them personally as well.
3 things babies sleep on: bed, mat, mama's lap. Take it down, bust the move. Talkative mom, bust the move. Go for a walk, and it's good for your mental health.
The Ladies Circle shows this Saturday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Yaz Sanitary Pad,
Onga, Yumvita,
MTN,
Woodin,
Nivea, for your shade of beautiful.
Everybody, this is us.
Us. Yay! We are talented. We have skill. We are smart. We have brought you the most exciting kids show with so much to learn. Don't miss out on the latest episodes of the Kids Arena because it promises to be fun, interactive, and educative. Kids TV has taken a whole new direction and we are excited to be part of it.
Mom and Dad, come and join us. Jump around us as we take you into a whole new world.
Kids Arena, this is us.
In the Kids Arena, yay!
Kids Arena. Show Saturdays at 10 a.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Ten valiant men, all poised to battle for their bragging right.
Old wine is say improves as time goes on. The stars have aligned for us in this moment. Our time is now. We did not come to first time shows. We came with our own. Fresh power, phenomenal strength, new and never seen before.
Who takes the title? Ghana's Strongest, the power to do.
Catch the new season of Ghana's Strongest Sunday at 4 p.m. only on TV3. Ghana's Strongest is powered by Gasem, the nation builder. Brought to you by Mixi Choco, Channel Hot,
Deluxy Acrylic Paint,
Drugnet.
On the 9th of July 2023, the journey of happily ever after begins for one couple to be given the right to be called Ghana's perfect match. After weeks of love, drama, betrayal, and loyalty, we bring you the grand finale of your premier television reality show, Perfect Match Extra. 3 couples have gone through 9 weeks of love and drama and have proven their union is fit enough to be that perfect match. A couple now stands a chance to win 50,000 Ghana cedis cash, sponsor products, and so much more. Which couple is it going to be? Kobella, Gralino, or Etolin? Remember that you have the power to vote your favorite couple to become the maiden winners of Perfect Match Extra. Keep voting for your favorite couple on the TV3 reality app and on pmextra.tv. Join us at the forecourt of TV3 on the 9th of July 2023 from 6 p.m. sharp by answering questions and winning points on pmextra.tv. And be a part of a love festival before the main show at 8 p.m. sharp. Let's end all the fun and drama on a perfect note with a grand finale of Perfect Match Extra Season 1.
Perfect Match Extra is sponsored by Close Up Complete Fresh Protection for your important oral care needs. Geisha Moringa and Geisha Black Soap for soft and glowing skin. Frutelli Calipo, Forever Clear. Beauty by Kava.
Darling Lemon Drink,
Flora Tissue, and Napa Foods. Say Napa, Enye Ono Soko. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil. Heaven Dear Bakope. Top Choco, Ebony Condoms.
Gino Tomato Mix.
Supported by Bell Ice, Capfam, Empire Kitchens, Drugnet, Malcolm, where Ghana shops.
Blue Jeans Energy Drink.
Every single member in this house must be allowed to debate on the issue, so we know the position of every single member of this house, those who are for it and those who are against it. I have made that statement. So if that is the statement you are asking me to withdraw, I humbly withdraw that statement.
Honorable member, you made a specific statement in relation to the minister.
I sat here and repeatedly heard Honorable Mutala refer to me as a practitioner of LGBT to the hearing of everyone in this house. I sat here and repeatedly heard him
Honorable Minister,
shout at the top of his voice and refer to me as a practitioner of LGBT. And every single last one of you is behaving as if you didn't hear it. And if in response to that I say he is mad, it is only a madman who will refer to his colleague in this house as a practitioner of LGBTQ.
Honorable Minister,
when you haven't caught me having sexual intercourse with your wife or your daughter or your mother,
Honorable
you sit there and refer to me in those terms. In those terms.
Honorable Minister.
And we call ourselves honorable members of this house. When you all hear it and pretend that suddenly you've lost your sense of hearing.
Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, I beg of you.
Well, this is one of the major takeaways from the debate on the anti-LGBTQ plus bill. Remember, this was the second reading of this bill. We would understand the process that it will go through after this point so that we would know every step of the way when it would become law eventually. But this bill has traveled a path with some recommendations made to certain aspects to be changed, which from the last time we checked, as we go on, we'll put various aspects of this bill, which has been amended after engagement with various interest groups to address issues of human rights and so on. Some fine-tuning has been done. But apart from that, the members of parliament, although none of them opposed it, had some issues on the floor of parliament. One of the two whom you just saw on the screen having this banter that resulted in some drama on the floor is with us in the studio. Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, Honorable, is a member of parliament for the Tamale Central constituency. And also, Martin Pebo is a private legal practitioner. He is the convener for the Komipreko the demonstration, and also a leader of one of 3 individual bondholder groups. Later, Ives Hansen Norte is member of parliament for the Tema Central constituency. He's also going to be joining us. And as we go on, Professor Enoch Opoku Enchi is a governance and leadership expert and a public policy analyst who will be joining us as well. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Honorable Mutala Muhammad, this video we just played, did you make that statement of calling Eslo Wusu Communications Minister, your colleague MP, a practitioner of LGBT, as she reacted to quite angrily?
Good morning, Christian. Good morning, my colleague. And I've always been saying that he was a lawyer opposing me when I was impeaching my JCR president, who I accused for chopping students' money. And good morning to your viewing public, and most importantly, the good people of Tamale Central. You asked me a specific question, and I don't know how many times I have to state with all sincerity what I said on the floor. One thing I can say, and I'll say this for the last, before God and man, wallahi, I never said she's a practitioner. Never.
You never said that?
I never used the word practitioner, and I think it must be made very clear. You know me, I have never denied statements I have made. Even when I make statements that people consider to be a statement that will create problems, I'll always stand by my statement. I was brought up properly, and I was brought up by my parents to be very truthful and defend every single statement I make, even if that statement is going to land me into trouble. I never use the word practitioner. Let's get something very clear. So I've heard a lot of people who have argued that if you didn't use the word practitioner, what did you say? I think the bone of contention is that someone accused me for saying that she is a practitioner of LGBTQ, and I never used that word. If the person says, okay, you use a particular word against me, then I'll be able to tell you this were the words I use. But the person says that you said I'm a practitioner of LGBTQ, and I never did. It is also important to state that the speaker, unfortunately, got everything wrong on that day. And I say this with humility. The conduct of business in Parliament is regulated by 2 very important things. 1, the Constitution of Ghana, and 2, the standing orders of Parliament. And of course, you can add best practices in Parliament. That is how business is done in Parliament. And these 3 important things I have mentioned do not only regulate the conduct of members of Parliament. As a matter of fact, it regulates even the conduct of the Speaker. That the Speaker cannot decide that I'm going to direct or do something in Parliament that contravenes either the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana or any provision, if you like, in the standing orders of Parliament. What happens in Parliament? If any statement is made off the mic, that statement is deemed not to be made on the floor of Parliament.
I see. So when the microphone is off and you make a statement...
Any statement, it is deemed not to be made.
You don't record it in the Hansard?
No, because the Hansard department captures that which is made on the mic. That's the first statement. So usually in Parliament, we do jab each other when our mics are off. If I press my mic on and I say anything, even if I say A, it will be captured by the Hansard department. So, but I have already stated I never use the word practitioner. That I can tell you with all sincerity. So for Esla,
which was the basis for
the
reaction?
The basis of her reaction.
You said she according to her, her reaction or response to your statement, which we didn't hear because your microphone was off, was that you said she practices.
I never
this.
said that. Well,
you didn't say that.
I never said that. I mean, I am telling you that those who know me, and ask your reporters were there in the chamber. They would have told you specifically what many of us said. That word, in fact, I don't know the last time I used the word practitioner. I really don't know. I believe that it's over a year I haven't used that word, practitioner. If I used the word practitioner, trust me, I would have looked through the face and the eyes of Esla and tell her that, yes, I used that word. I'm not a coward. I have never run away from things that I have said. That's why I have always said, what I can't say publicly, I don't say it privately. That's me. If I can't defend something, I don't say it. So I think that matter is settled. The speaker got it completely wrong. And I can tell you, if it was Honorable Bagbin or Honorable Jose Wusu, because of their long experience in Parliament, there was no way they were going to even give attention to this. Because they would have known clearly that if you make a statement off the mic, it is deemed not to be made on the floor of Parliament. That's the first statement. But the shocker was the vulgar with which she ranted. Now, assuming that someone makes a statement against you, which you think that that statement is not accurate, Parliament is a house of records. Parliament is a house of facts. If you rise, you demand through the speaker the person to provide evidence why the person thinks that you are a practitioner of LGBTQ. And she went ahead and ranted. The last time I checked, my late mother never engages in that. My wife doesn't engage in that. My daughter certainly. So if she wants to have partners for what she engages in. I'm saying if she, please. I haven't said, I'm coming. What have I said that, what have I said? What have I said?
You were on a path. This marks the trajectory that you are on.
What have I said? She said that I have never, you've never seen me.
Because she's not here, okay? And I don't want this to be...
Okay, maybe let me rephrase my statement.
Of what
I'm
happened.
saying that
that's why I want us...
I'm saying that my family never engages in that. If anybody wants to have partners to engage in that, it certainly wouldn't be my family. It certainly wouldn't be that. And in any case, the vulgar with which she ranted for me was shocking. Now, the idea that it takes, you are mad, she's been using it on everybody on the floor of Parliament. Ask anybody who is a member of Parliament.
Which you don't take to heart.
Even when the Fiamokpo was, Honorable the Fiamokpo was speaking, she was sitting there saying, Wabodam. Wabodam means what? You are mad. You know the reason why Honorable the Fiamokpo and those of us didn't take offense to that? She said those things off the mic. Are you getting what I'm saying? Wabodam with the gestures. And even when people were saying blah blah, she said, Wabodam. I mean, I don't understand you that well,
no,
but
so
I know...
If you didn't say that, then what was she reacting to? What did she hear that she was reacting to?
Only God knows. So that is why I was demanding the speaker should tell me specifically what statement or which statement he had I made. Because on that day, I made several statements. In fact, one of the statements I made, and I if you watch the video, I demanded from the speaker, I said, look, Mr. Speaker, allow every single member to contribute to the debate. When Honorable Bagbin asked that those who were in support of the LGBTQ and those who were against it should stand up, nobody stood up. Is that not the case? However, that alone will not distinguish between those who support it and those who do not. But if you give members of Parliament the opportunity to debate the matter. Every single member should have a position on it. We'll be able to identify those who are indeed supporting the bill or those who are against the bill. And I'll tell you one thing. My committee traveled to one European country. I traveled with other members from the MPP. In fact, Honorable Andiapi Akubi, I served in the same committee with him. He was there. Honorable Carlos Ahenkra was also there. Those of us who traveled. When we visited the ambassador at the embassy and his team, because usually when committees of parliament travel this way, you have the opportunity to meet the ambassador or the high commissioners. I was shocked. In fact, we were all shocked that part of the statement made by the ambassador was that he was invited to attend a meeting on human rights. And he was shocked that he found, I think, about 17 civil society organizations and NGOs from Ghana who were present at that meeting and who all claimed to be promoters of LGBTQ and protecting the rights of LGBTQ people in Ghana.
NGOs.
And civil society organizations. And it was shocking to all of us. So, look, I have never said Esla is a practitioner of LGBTQ. If I said it, I would have owned them. But you see, it reduced the import of the whole discussion of the bill and the LGBTQ thing. My position and the position of many of us have been consistent. We have always said that the LGBTQ business frowns upon our laws. I mean, the law says that natural carnal knowledge is a crime. Is that not a lawyer? Mm-hmm. 2, it frowns upon our cultural values. It frowns upon our religious practices. There has never been a consensus built by all faiths except on this anti-LGBTQ thing. Look, Christians, Muslims, Jews, Zoroastrians, Buddhists, Hindus, African traditional religion, tell me, every single religion, every single known acceptable religion in the world, there have been a consensus on our position against the LGBTQ thing. Now, the other issue that I think that ought to be raised has to do with why some people think that they can impose on us their way of life. That is one shocking. Mm-hmm. In the Western world, engaging in polygamous marriage is a crime. And if you engage in that, you could be prosecuted. It is a crime because they think it frowns upon their way of life, their values. What makes them think that they can impose their way of life on us? Because this one also frowns upon our values. The common law we have, the common law was not just a law that was created by the British.
Yeah.
It was laws that they made as a result of acceptable norms and values that they practice as a people. And that is why in the common law in Ghana, our laws also include acceptable values. There are certain aspects of our cultural practices that we all condemned. Chokosi is one thing that many people condemned in Ghana. And I think that our laws will even frown upon some of those things. But there are certain values, certain cultural values that we deem fit, that regulates the conduct and ensures decency in our societies, that are part and parcel of our laws in going forward. So at any point in time, laws are made to serve the interests of people. Now, I have heard people who say it is about human rights. Every single individual has a right. The one who even murders will claim to have a right. Why is it that when a person commits a crime, for example, a murder, that right to move and other things are truncated? They are truncated because that person has committed an act that is deemed to be injurious to the existence of society. So we also deemed that particular act to be injurious to the existence of our society. And I would conclude on this matter. I'm a Muslim, a practicing Muslim. If you look at the narration of Sodom and Gomorrah, the story in the Bible, there's no difference as we have it in the Quran. There's no difference. The narration of it in the Bible is virtually the same as it is narrated in the Quran. But the Quran goes further. Allah says in the Quran that when people engage in such acts And mind you, the Sodom and Gomorrah was just gays. We now have lesbians, LGBTQ, queer people, certain things that are absolutely unreasonable. What the Quran says is that if anybody engages in this act in any society and you refuse to fight it, that Allah's punishment will come in the form of birds carrying bait of flame. And each bird will be instructed by Allah to drop the bait of flame on every single individual in the society. It won't distinguish between those who practice it and those who do not practice it. The interpretation by ulamas on these Quranic verses is to tell you that you must fight this with all your strength. You must do everything possible to fight it. And let me make this point. The British have their way of life. The Americans have their way of life. Their way of life doesn't necessarily mean that we must also adopt it, because it frowns upon our existence and the way we relate with each other in our societies. When the Nazi Germans were advancing towards United Kingdom, and Churchill's security advisor, Halifat, advised him to surrender. You know what he said on the floor of the British Parliament? That even if we are lying on the floor of this Parliament, choking in our own blood, we shall not surrender. Our message is simple. Even if we are lying on the streets of Ghana, choking in our own blood and eating grass, as Honorable Mutaka indicated, we must not and we ought not surrender to this, because it frowns upon our values, it frowns upon our culture, it frowns upon our religions, it frowns upon every aspect of our society. As a matter of fact, some few years ago, in those countries, these things were completely illegal. Some few years ago. Today, they think that they have advanced so much. And if you look at the constitution of many of these countries, you have their constitutions that are guided by the word of God, by the Bible. They use it. America says everything, they say God. So sometimes you wonder which God. And that God tells you in scripture, don't engage in this. Some people engage in it and there was punishment of God on them. They think that it must be engaged in. The pretense in this country is just legendary. And I've just indicated to you what we were told by an ambassador of this country, what he experienced. But you see, there are people who engage in it in academia. They push certain departments, threaten those departments of funding, that if you refuse to fight it, we will cut funding, from your department. This is completely blackmail. Blackmail in the name of something that they cherish and value, which we do not cherish and we do not value.
Well, Mohammed Murtala is a member of parliament for Tamale Central. Now, let me show you aspects of the bill. And so you say you must embrace diversity. That's the narrative surrounding those who, or the countries that allow this diversity. This is it. It says, these are the highlights of the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill. Identifying as LGBTQ+, having a gay relationship or intercourse with someone of the same sex is criminalized with up to 5 years imprisonment. Also, marrying or intending to marry someone who has had gender reassignment surgery would also be criminalized with up to 5 years imprisonment. Let's go to the next one. It says that indecent exposure, any public show of affection between people of the same sex, or where one or some of the people involved identify as a gender different to their sex or have had sex reassignment, is criminalized. Okay, then also there are other ones as well which we are going to be displaying as we go on, because there are others that talk about the promotion or the conversation of it as well. John Ives Hansen Norte is Member of Parliament for the Tamale Central Constituency. Tema Central, Tema Central Constituency. He's joining me in studio. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers and our panelists here, and yourself. In fact, this is my first time at your studios. And a good morning to my constituents as well in Tema Central, my executives and my team. It's good to be here to serve Mother Ghana. I have my seniors here and then my senior colleague, Mutala, also here. So that's it. That's fine.
So we have Tema Central and Tamale Central.
Yes.
I'll bring you in. We'll look at other aspects of the bill, but these, well, Mutala Mohammed has reacted to some of the things that the drama that took a lot away from the debate of this issue when this bill, when it was laid for the second time in Parliament. But the details of it as well, well, as we speak, no member of Parliament has come out to say that they're against this. So essentially what that means is that this bill has the support of all 275 MPs. You support this bill, don't you?
Oh, yes, we do.
You support it?
Yes, yes.
The majority MPs?
I mean, it's a... Are you addressing me?
Yes, you.
Yes, it's a unanimous decision, let me put it that way.
I think so.
The principles enshrined in the Act is supported by both parties. And it was supported by 275 members of Parliament. And we are going to work to make it happen. I mean, we've done a second reading. We're going to do a consideration. There are a few amendments that we are looking at so that it aligns with our law. I think the committee had about 50 amendments that they brought up. And we're going to scrutinize them one by one because this is very, I would say, it goes to the heart of our society and of our being as human beings. You know, if you see the trajectory that this LGBTQ agenda, global agenda, has moved from in the 70s and in the late 60s through the 70s till now, it's moved from a medical condition to something that we want our children to learn. If you go to America today, it's pathetic that parents have even lost control over their children, and their school teachers are able to do gender assignment for their children. I mean, children that, I mean, when we were kids, we all used to play around. Because we grew up around our mothers, we dress up like our mothers, we want to look like them. It's a normal growth pattern of every child. Doesn't mean that the child wants to do a gender assignment, or I feel that I'm a female and therefore as a child, my teacher takes me through the processes of reassigning my gender. In fact, today when you go to parts of America, you can't even call a man he. You have to say cisgender she or cisgender he. It's just pathetic. It doesn't even make sense. But this is the reality. And the movement is so strong. And I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. This week, I mean, the last 2 weeks I wasn't feeling too well. But this week I was so happy that I was there to witness that the Parliament of Ghana has taken a decision that is to say no to this movement that is coming through our society.
So, I needed your quick reaffirmation of the majority MPs also supporting this. In fact,
it was a unanimous
decision. 275.
Yeah, 275.
Okay.
Because the speaker threw the question that he who is against should rise.
But someone spoke.
And nobody rose. So it's who's
someone spoke against it.
Yeah, someone critique even the bill. And
no, I mean critiquing the bill doesn't mean that you are
strongly.
Yes, people critique the bill, you know, because I mean there are aspects of it that you have to manage well. So, for example, I know it's been taken care of. For example, like the intersex people and people born XXY with those chromosomal issues. It's there. It's been taken care of. But initially, the raw, let me use the sense, the raw bill didn't take care of those issues. But today we've taken care of all those issues. And all those ones are there in the amendments. So it's fine. I mean,
let me take
it. Not punitive enough.
Well, I know we'll bring you lawyer, but look at the 4 and 5, the other aspects of it as well. And lawyer, there's a point where I bring you in. It says advocacy and publicity. Any person or group seen as promoting identities or acts prohibited in the bill or campaigning to support the rights of LGBTQ plus people faces up to 10 years imprisonment. Duty to report. Anyone aware of gay acts who fails to report them could also be criminalized. There is then also the purpose of the bill, essentially, to proscribe propaganda of advocacy for or promotion of LGBTQ plus and provide protection and support for children and persons who are victims or accused of LGBTQ plus activities. So that aspect of the provision of support is where then the promoters of the bill say that any issues of human rights or these persons who are identified as doing so are protected against any human rights abuse. But the likes of Amnesty International and others still raise fundamental questions about the violation of the rights of people. What is the element of rights that Amnesty and others who are against this bill are pushing in this particular context?
You see, Alfred, this whole thing, I mean, one thing has to be very clear, and that is the fact that not enough Ghanaians, not enough citizens are voicing concerns that, look, there are certain aspects of this bill that can really give us headache. Yeah. This promotion thing. We should look at the definition again. Do you have it readily as to the meaning of promotion? You have it readily. Then I'll move.
As in promotion in the context of the law?
Of the bill.
Of the bill?
Yeah.
So any person or group of persons seen as promoting identities or acts?
Yeah, I thought the definition section.
So we'll flip to...
Yes, because I didn't know where the question would come from. So I'll be advancing
we'll flip to that.
Listen. You see, listen, this whole thing, Amnesty has a right to raise concerns. Yes, by all means, if the larger society wants to prescribe open identification of people as gays, well, democracy is a rule by the majority. So the majority carries the vote. Unfortunately, that is what has to be the law, right? But we also have to be careful that in the process, we are not criminalizing or exposing the minority to perils. Yeah. Look, as it were now, if somebody says, look, he or she is gay, there is no law. There is no law that you can use to say you are going to kind of treat the person of that gay spirit or gay attitude. You can't use any law to do that. If A were to say, Kofi says, look, he's gay, that's what he thinks. You can't. So it's the open manifestation, the open display and practice of it that we are looking to stop, right? Yeah, so in doing so, let's be careful that the law is not overly broad. And as I've said, the reason I'm not willing to go further into this gay discussion is that, look, those who are gay, there are big lawyers there. If you can't stand up for what you are, who am I? Look, as I'm sitting here Tuesday, we are going to demonstrate. Government hasn't paid these bonds for over 100 days. And then after signing an MOU, more than 50 days, the bonds have still been unpaid. So I'm talking about bread and butter. So if you're a lawyer, you're an engineer, you're a doctor, you're a gay, and this bill is here, you don't want to come out, you are still in the closet, what can I do? Because I can't be the poster child for gayism in Ghana or LGBTQ. No, I can't be the poster child. I've told these guys, look, move out, come out in droves.
So you know some big lawyers who are
yes, I've said this here before. Everybody, look, lots of us we'll begin to mention names. They are there. They are unwilling to come out. And then I'll be used as a pawn. I can't. That's not it. Listen, they have to come out. Because if they were to come out, then we would see them. And you see, when you see them, you say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So you see their faces. And then locally too, we say, right? Then you see the compassion that would be evoked
Will there be compassion?
Yes, we have compassion. And Ghana Police Service said, look, they will protect them. Because as I've said, if somebody says he's gay, yes, you can't use any law to say you are changing the person from being gay. No. That's one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, if it's madness, that is his identity.
That's the problem.
It's the open manifestation and attempt to inculcate it in our children that we say, no. Yes, we don't want that. Don't openly inculcate it in our children. But if you, as a person says he's gay, that one in law, what are we to do? What legal instruments can you? So you see there's a part of the bill that was saying that they will help them to get help and all that. Well, it's debatable. That's why I said, look, I've read. The summation of my views on this matter is that I've not discussed this matter substantively. No, I've not, because the gay, LGBTQ community is refusing to show their faces. And if you're refusing to show your face, how can I fight for a client I don't know? I've been representing some privately, like you go to police station.
You represent some of the
Yes, privately. Yeah, so let's say sometimes landlord and tenant, a landlord will kick out a gay person upon discovering or having very strong suspicions that the person is gay, right? Etc. So, or sometimes even between the two of them, the love goes sour and then it turns into a police matter. I represent, but I can't come and sit on TV and advocate for somebody who is not willing to stand up. No. We can't do that, because then it's like, you don't even believe. If you think that's your identity, you come out and say, this is me. This is me. I'm gay. Then we will help you. We will help. But if you're not coming out, So let's, as I've said, look, so can see maybe part of the time you should yield to us. Look, customers of glucose security, we are dying, right? Customers of that's Black Shield, people are dying. Part of the individual born will come to it as a food.
Because I know that the 16th of May memorandum of understanding that was signed, all the details has not been adhered to by the finance ministry. I'm very much aware of it. And so that issue will but what's your position on this bill, as you have seen the aspects of it?
That's what I'm saying, that the matter of, you see, because of the whole idea, I haven't substantively come to it. It's when the gay people come in, then I may come. But in the interim, whatever Parliament is doing, as for the promotion thing, let's look at it carefully. Carefully. That tomorrow, like as I've sat here, what should be clear is that the Ghana Police Service, before IGP Dampare came in, had made it clear that, look, they will protect gays. And it's true, because when you read the Constitution, there is no right for A to get up and beat B because B is gay. No. Exactly. You can't assault, you can't murder, you can't threaten, you can't harm any other person just because the person's sexual orientation is different from yours. That one, that person will always be protected by the Constitution, right? Yes, so that is it. So we have a right to say that for 1,000 years to come. So even when this bill is passed, it will be right and legal for us to come here and say you can't touch somebody if the person says he's gay, right? Yes, so as long as we understand all of this, and as I say, if the gays say they won't come out.
That is, if the person even openly declares his sexual orientation, his or her sexual orientation, nothing can be done to the person.
So let's say he's talking. Let's say now that we are set, then let's say Mr. A says, "Oh, he is gay." Yes, by just revealing his sexual orientation,
it doesn't make it a crime.
Exactly. So we have to understand all of that. So Charlie, let's talk about bonds, bread and butter.
But well,
my position on this bill, you are either for it or you are against it. In this country, the hypocrisy is just too much. Look, it is not just about religion. It is about our values, our culture. And that's why I ask,
no problem.
In this country, you are either a Christian or a Muslim, or a traditionalist, or a Jew, or a Buddhist, or a Zoroastrianist, or any other religion. Show me one single faith, whether you agree with that faith or not, or one single society in Africa, including Ghana, where you have an iota of acceptance of the LGBTQ. When I hear people talk about the law...
About the Anglican Church,
No,
even allowed.
That is the Anglican. I'm saying in Ghana,
and that's England.
That is why the African Anglican Church are having problems with the Anglican Church in England. So I mean, already.
Okay, when you say Ghana, so
in Africa, Ghana. Even in Africa. So I'm saying that.
But as an African country, it's allowed.
Well, I mean, if South Africa. Okay, so let's say Ghana. It's frowns upon our values, and when I hear people talk about law, human rights. Who determines law that regulates the rights of people? Is it not societies? Yeah. I gave an example here, and people misconstrued that example. The Nuremberg trial. When people barbarously murdered people, the Nazi Germans, when they were hauled before the trial, you know what they said? They said what they were doing in Germany at that time was not a crime. It was acceptable by the Nazi law. Everybody knows that it was barbarous. So society, certain things, people can frown upon them in certain societies. In others, they do not. I am saying that every society, you make laws to regulate the conduct of everybody. And that conduct must be regulated in a manner that is generally accepted. And when I say generally, it doesn't mean that everybody must accept it. Is that not the case? We live in a society where all the religions and the faith we practice, the societies, the cultures, the communities, the ethnic groups we belong, all frown upon the LGBTQ in any form or shape. So if we say that people must not practice it, now if we want to stretch the argument that yes, we don't know what people do in their bedrooms, that is in their bedrooms. That is in their bedrooms. We saw billboards being sprung across the country, offices spaces being rented, and they began watching the cartoons. I had the pain to have watched a cartoon, so I've stopped certain cartoon network for my kids.
Exactly.
They are doing that, targeting the subconsciousness of the kids. But you see, there is always who the cap fits. When we make certain statements, people get angry because perhaps they know the reasons. And that's why I agree with Loic Pebble. Be bold. If you think that you are against it, against it. And that is why my position in Parliament was that it's not about Mr. Speaker saying, if you are against it, stand up. People won't stand up. But when you open the debate for all of us to be engaged, you begin to appreciate those who support it and those who do not. Because psychology will tell you, your unconscious mind is revealed through sleeps, through thinkings and wishes. So people in argument can. If you have a justification and you observe, all those who are promoting this, they will not come and say that we are promoting it. They try to argue on the angle of human rights, or it is the rights of people. The criminal walking out there also has a right. Why is it that when he commits crime, that right is truncated? It is crime because society thinks that it's a crime. In this country, pedophilia, or let's say trococy, or female genital mutilation. It is a cultural practices of certain people. But the laws in our country think that it is not acceptable. In some countries, it is. So when the law says that it is not acceptable, it doesn't mean that everybody in the country agrees with the law. But majority of the people agrees with the law. So we live in a society where majority of the people of this country says, we don't want to accept LGBTQ in any form or shape. Now people think that they must argue in defense of it in the so-called rights of people. Everybody has a right, but the right is truncated when you do something society deems unfit. So look, my position is consistent. You are either for the law or you are against the law. We must not accept this in any form or shape.
Bring you at this point on this, because you talk about values and then its place in the context of the law. Martin Pebble is talking about representing people who do this in private. You can identify even in public that this is what you do, and you should not be subjected to any form of human rights abuse.
Yes.
That is against the law.
Also against the law, yes.
Indeed. So the fundamental position of the bill is to what? Correct the promotion or prevent the promotion of it publicly. Then what?
So, I mean, just as the two speakers have spoken, it tells you that this debate is deeper than what people think it is. It is not as superficial as people might want it to be, because it goes to the heart of our society. Firstly, just as my brother said, all religious bodies in Ghana abhor it. That's fine. As a society, a general society, we all abhor it. That's fine. In principle, as a parliament, we have agreed that we don't accept it. That's fine. However, just as Martin said, it doesn't mean that the fundamental human rights of Ghanaians should be truncated because somebody has identified as being gay. No. Just as he said, I mean, he's a better place to teach us as a lawyer. Because if somebody identifies as gay, it doesn't mean that he has committed the crime. The law is saying that it is when the person is caught in the act. But that has always been there under Section 104. It has always been there, so it's nothing new. Where some of us are supporting this bill and pushing for this bill is the promotion, where that's where I disagree with my brother Martin. Because the promotion is a long-term agenda that we may not see the effects today. We might see the effects 20, 30 years down the line. When your child comes home and says that, Daddy, I think that God didn't put me in the body that I want. I think I want to change from a female to a male. Or I want to change from a male to a female, and therefore I want to go through these processes of castration to become, chemical castration to become a male. I mean, people have gone to the extent of now saying that there's something called transabled, where people deliberately go blind because they want to be disabled. I mean, it is a mental illness. That is what the Ghana Psychiatric Association head told us in Parliament when it came to the committee. If you see the committee videos, he said it's a mental illness, just like pedophilia, just like other mental depression, bipolar, which we have been able, people have been able to, lobby and migrate from the structures of illness into what today we call mainstream or normality. But it's pure abnormality. It's something that can be treated in a different way. Many of the people that came to the committee, the gay people that were confident enough to come before the committee. Okay. If you look at their history, it is a learned behavior. So it's something that can be dealt with. So if it's a learned behavior, how do you stop that learned behavior? You nip it in the bud from the promotion level in the first place, so that it will not be there in our cartoons, it will not be there on our television, it will not be there in our newspapers. There will be no form of it that would make people learn about it. So for that, we must be firm on that one. When my brother talks about hypocrisy, in fact, it is true. However, I see it from the other perspective, that look, if you take sexual immorality, it is not just homosexuality. Yeah. Fornication is a form of sexual immorality. Yeah. However, we are not going after it. We are not saying that should be criminalized. I think that should be added to it, because the effects of fornication on families, on
it should be added to it. You're going to collapse this economy.
No, how would you collapse this economy?
That's actually industry. You collapse this economy.
No, my brother was talking about hypocrisy. I'm just trying to let you know the other side of the other sides of the debate.
Nobody comes out to say I'm a fornicator. I should be given a right.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly. No, we're talking about the hypocrisy that you brought. I'm just talking.
They say this is saying that we should act fornicators and adultery.
Then you see that. Maybe that then we would understand it. But I mean, that's just for the
anyway.
That's just by the way.
That's fine.
So what I'm driving at is that, yes, these are people we have in our society. For me, the punitive measures that we brought in, I thought some of them were too harsh. 10 years in jail.
I think it's too.
No, for me,
it should be more than that.
10 years in jail is too harsh. These people are, in my opinion, mentally unwell, and therefore, the worst we could have done is to send them to a psychiatric hospital for treatment, just like somebody who commits, murder.
Nowadays, when you take small quantities of weed, narcotics, you can get psychiatric.
Exactly, you can get psychiatric medical treatment. Exactly. So for me,
that psychiatric treatment is also captured in the bill. There's some aspect of the bill that talks about
it. But that's why I'm saying that I was of the view that the punitive measures of sending them to jail, and our jails are already congested. We should find other ways of treating them. I see it as a medical condition and must be treated that way, more than a criminal offense.
I think that the promotion of it is where the criminality comes in. Because if you look quite closely at how the bill is constructed, there's the punitive measure on the promotion of it is very high. That's 10 years.
And
okay,
then,
so you also think it's punitive?
I think when you are caught in the act, it was 10 years, but it's been reduced to 3 years, right? Mutala? Yes, it's been reduced to 3 years. I was saying that when the person is caught in the act, the person should be given psychiatric treatment instead of sending the person to jail.
Why?
I mean, the person is not well. It's not mentally well. You cannot say that. You cannot say that somebody.
Are you classifying all the practitioners of, gays and lesbians as mentally unwell?
Yes. It has always been. It is just look. If you look at the history of this gay and lesbian promotion business, from the 60s and 70s, it was classified as an illness everywhere in the world. In America, it was in America that they were able to take it out of their mental, let me say, the mental health law, and made it part of the mainstream. And it has seeped slowly into the mainstream.
Exactly. Yes. That's why I want to understand why even then, maybe years ago, you'll be right to classify it as psychological. But now, with the evolution of time, and the so-called modernization we're seeing now, which has seeped into the values of societies and so on, I would not really be on the same page with you if you say that everyone who is practicing this is mentally unwell. There are some people who are sound, and they are doing this either for the money or for the other purposes as well.
You can see, not all people.
Maybe you haven't interacted with
not all people who are well dressed are sound. So don't assume that the fact that the person is working on TV, or is working in the media, or is working on as a lawyer or a teacher is well. So, I mean, you can see somebody very well dressed, and if you spend 5 minutes with the person having a conversation, you realize that the person is off. So, I mean, these are not things that I'm saying out of my own personal views. These are views that the head of the Ghana, I want to quote them, well, Ghana Psychiatric Health Association or whatever. He came to Parliament and this is what he said. These are his words. This is the, in a nutshell, what he put before the committee. So it is not that I am, concocting something. No, this is what he told us. It's a mental illness, and that is how we should approach it.
I asked this question on the path that, you see, Lawyer Martin Kpebu minutes ago said, there are big lawyers, engineers, and all those people who come to him. He represents them in private. These are people who are sound and are going about their business.
No, I said it is a learned, it's a learned behavior. But majority of the people that came to the committee said they learned it somewhere. Somebody introduced them to it. So, and for example, if you put 1,000 men in one room, over time, some will become dominant over others. These are, psychological experiments that people have done. Some will become dominant over others. Some will become servants. Some will become A. Some will become B. Some will become sexual tools amongst them. It's a natural phenomenon. If you put 10, 20 women in the same space for 3 years, so in our society, most people learn these things in boarding schools. They learned them in the boarding school. Some people learned it in a boarding school. Some people learned it from even associating with churches. They learned it. It is a learned behavior. They didn't grow up like that. Somebody practiced it on them, and then they picked it up, and then they enjoyed it, or it became part for them. It looked like the norm. So therefore, they also practice it on the next person, and then it continues down the line. So all I'm just trying to say is that it's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior. That's why I keep saying that, for me, punishing the promotion is good, because then we create a bottleneck, and we put exactly, there's an exit point where we can stop it. However, all these people learned it. So the person can be a lawyer. He practiced it when he was in secondary school. He has grown up. Sometimes they go for old school reunion, he meets his friends, and they do whatever they want to do. So I'm just giving an example of a situation where that can happen, So that is it. And on the back of that, that doesn't make the person sound. It doesn't mean that the person is well.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the person must have had some psychological damage as a child. Maybe when he went to Form 1, he was a 12-year-old boy. His seniors were...
Or girl.
Or girl. His seniors were 18. He had no, control. He couldn't even say no to them because he's at the beck and call of that senior. So the fact that he has grown up and today is a doctor or a lawyer
or an MP
doesn't mean that he has maybe overcome or has been healed from that psychological trauma. And therefore for him it's a normal behavior. That notwithstanding, even if you look at our laws as it exists now, there are other forms of sexual activity that are illegal, but we do them at home. You do it, it's between you and your wife. Look, if your wife goes down on you, or you go down on your wife, it's illegal under the laws of Ghana. Do you go to the police station to go and report? No. So, just as some of the promoters of the bill or the debaters of the bill in Parliament said, these are things that people do in the closets of their homes. However, we want to maintain that it is illegal, so that if you are caught in the act, at least the law can deal with you to a certain extent, so that we all know that. I mean, if bestiality is wrong, so should be homosexuality, because they are both natural carnal behaviors. So for me, that is my view, and I think that we have done the right thing, making sure that it is clear, everybody knows that it's, even if you look at the promoters of the bill, some of the arguments that they made was that, look, in the past, because the Criminal Code 104 and a certain section of it said that there must be penetration, the Female Act was not part of the, was not illegal. Today, we have aligned it and said that the Female Act itself, if two females engage in any sexual activity, that is also illegal and must be punished the same way the two males may have intercourse and must be punished, because it looked more discriminatory. That I see. Yes, you are discrimination against the gay people and allowing the lesbians to go scot-free. So for now, I think we've come to a good conclusion with this bill, where everybody now knows that sex between two consenting adults, whether two adults of the same sex, whether consenting or not, is illegal, whether male or female. And I think we can move on from there.
The worry about all these discussions, and I like the point he made about the influences. I did psychology in my first degree. Behavioral psychologists will tell you that the attitude, the character of every man is influenced by two very important things. The nature. The nature is what you are born with. There are some aspects of us that are hereditary. And the nature is what you adopt in the environment you live in. And a lot of them have agreed that the nature, that is what you adopt from the environment, is more impactful than even the nature. Someone can have a particular character. Psychologists can take that person through, or as a result of the people he or she associates himself or herself with, that character may change or minimize. So our worry is the influence of our kids. You agreed that some of the cartoon networks we watch, these are some of the things. I wanted to ask Loipebu, because he made a statement for me that is instructive, that he knows of some people, including lawyers, and I don't know whether those lawyers include lawyers in Parliament. Because we have lawyers in Parliament too who...
Yeah, I've heard one or two.
Okay, fantastic. So, for me, that is worrying. There's a hadith called Hadith 9. Anybody who did it will tell you. And the whole prophet says that, leave that which makes you doubt for that which does not make you doubt. What it means is that everything you want to do, that you doubt it strongly, don't get yourself engaged in it. Exactly. My point is the last point I want to make. On the same point, I want to reiterate. Why? Every Friday, you find practicing Muslims in the mosque. Every day we observe prayer 5 times. We do zakat, we perform Hajj. I returned from Hajj a few days ago. We do all those things.
You landed again.
Because when I went, I prayed to Allah to let me be truthful and confront wrongs strongly. So when I see such,
so you just go from the airport and came to
now, in the churches, every Sunday, We go to the churches, they preach issues of moralities and others. In the shrines, those who believe in those things, they go to the shrines whichever days. Synagogues, the Jews go to their synagogues, the Zoroastrians, the Buddhists, the Hindus, everybody does that. We live in a society, we make laws to regulate our being, our existence. So my view is that all those who subtly promote this and pretend to be speaking on the same wavelength we all speak will tell you, oh, it's about human rights. Who determines the human rights of the people of America? Is it Ghanaians? Do we determine the human rights of the people of America? How they live their lives, do we determine that? Now, we determine ours. Of course, it must be in line with acceptable norms. Some of those norms are globally accepted. Don't kill. Don't steal. Don't do ABCD. Are you getting what I'm saying? Live in harmony with people. But within our societies, we all agreed that this thing is wrong. And that is why I said there has never been a convergence where all faiths, all known acceptable faiths, have agreed without any shred of doubt on an issue than the position of anti-LGBTQ. Every known religion have come to one absolute conclusion that this thing is wrong, it must not be promoted. So I think that if we want to argue on the wave, on the line of human rights, pedophilia, those who rape, don't they also have rights? Is that not it? Assuming they were to come out to say that oh, I want to be engaged in pedophilia, I want to be engaged in this because that is what satisfies me. Will the human rights say that they should do that? No. So this cherry picking is just wrong. We are not accepting it. And frankly speaking, with all emphasis, you are either for it or you are against it. And that is why I made reference to the information we got. There are societies, civil society organizations, and NGOs in Ghana who are promoting it secretly. The people of this country do not know. And what we heard when we traveled as a committee was a shocker to all of us. And in fact, the ambassador himself said he was shocked. But in Ghana, you will never hear those NGOs and civil society organizations says they are promoting it. Yet they go there for funding. That is why I was insisting that if everybody was allowed to speak, if you go for
all MPs,
all MPs, if you go and take money and then you can't be seen condemning it. So those who refuse to condemn it, we would have known. Everybody, and I have to praise Honorable Andy Appiah Kubi. In fact, I was with him when we traveled to that country. And he's so... I won't mention that name because I don't... And we were all shocked. Everybody. And the man said when he went there, and you see, they use that to rate our human rights position in Ghana. Yes. Mm-hmm. Because our position to say that we don't want to do this because it is unacceptable to our values, it is used to determine whether we value so-called human rights or not. I think that we need to be very clear. There are people, I believe, in all, I have been told today now that lawyers and some of them in parliament, I believe even in the media, you would have people who are engaged in this and they use money. I think that we need to be very clear. There is no society that supports this. Our laws frown upon them. Our values, our way of life will be affected if these things are encouraged. Yes. As what whoever does in his bedroom, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But those things that they want to influence us, today in America and the Western world, even if your child is in school and your child is sick and they want to administer a medicine, they will call the parent to give your consent before they administer the medicine. But on the issue of his or her choice, that one they don't call you. I mean, what society is this?
Okay. I think it's just a minute or two that I'll take on from you on this. So your assessment of the current bill in this form, in this current form, can pass, regardless of the issues that the likes of Amnesty International and others raise in this current form?
No, rather on the contrary. So I said that I've not come to this debate substantively. Okay. I've shied away from it, and all along from day one when I first heard the bill. So you see, even you Google on the net, I've been saying that, but the way promotion is defined, let's just look at that. I don't want tomorrow to be caught for just saying the obvious. If I've represented a gay person in private, I don't see how that can amount to promotion.
No, but on his rights as someone maybe who is denied to live in a home.
Exactly.
Yes, so you need to make it very clear. If not tomorrow, the headlines will be that, oh, Martin Pebu, you know, I mean, sometimes some of these things, you need to make it very clear.
That's what I said. So that's one. Oh, so if you mistake it, well, so sure, it's not a problem to me because, look, as a lawyer, I'm trained to, you know, protect and then represent human beings, right? Yeah, as long as it's not illegal. So what I'm saying is that what we are suffering. So I've not said this bill should pass. No. What I'm saying is that if the LGBT community would come out, then we can have a proper debate to help the whole discourse. Now they are hiding in their closets, and the debate is one way. So naturally, you won't get the best.
Because they know
you won't get the best because look, even if you go into what do you call it? History, the beginning of democracy, I was checking what Plato said about homosexuality, all those things. Then we can bring all this to bear. This thing has been there from ages, even from the Bible, etc. But if they are not coming, Charlie, I don't want to be in this debate.
They know it's wrong. But you don't have a position on this bill, the details of it that you have seen?
Let it pass.
My position on the bill is that the punishment is not punitive enough.
You said the punishment is not punitive?
It's not.
The 10 years and 3 years.
Oh, it's not.
Is it, well, that one, I'll stick out that. Look, let's be careful. What is
the
politicians,
what is the
you
difference?
Politicians have ruined this nation, sir. We've not been able to take
they should be prosecuted.
Enough of somebody's private
politicians who have done that.
The president, Nanado, is just ruined this economy. He's still in office. He's enjoying immunity. You haven't done anything.
No, I'm saying that they should be
somebody's sexual conduct.
You should be talking to the judiciary.
Look at how Nanado is ruined this economy. People are dying. You've not done anything.
You don't have a position on this bill. You don't have a position.
You want him to have a position.
Okay.
I've said something. I've told you that even the President Kufuor, who is ruining this economy and is starving us, we've done nothing to
whether you have a position
I beg you,
on this bill
just
or
1
not.
minute. Frankly speaking, I am shocked that I haven't heard my senior brother state a position on this. It is jihad. And when I say jihad, jihad means, in fact, the Holy Prophet, when they ask him what is jihad, when you fight for your religion, fight for your family, fight for your wealth, your land, and the fighting includes moral values, such as fighting against LGBTQ, that they ask, how do you fight? You fight it with your strength. If you can't fight it with your strength, you fight it with your tongue. And then if you can't fight it with your tongue, fight it with your heart. But goes ahead to say that it is the weakest of faith. I haven't heard my senior brother, Dr. Bawumia, state his position on this. No, on a most, and I'm not doing politics with this. I am being he's a Muslim, he's an Alaji. He should state his position on this. I have stated my position. And I state my position not as an NDC MP, as a Muslim. I want him to state his position on this matter.
Mr. Kafe, and also please, one sentence. Oh, did you say I didn't say it? I said the open, what do you call it, advocacy to get our children involved. Definitely no.
It's a promotion that you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, let's listen to Genevieve Partington, who's the country director for Amnesty International, very briefly, and we'll round up on this. Look, take a look.
Hours and time on something that is happening in someone's bedroom, which is consensual, by the way. I don't see how that affects any of our lives. The other thing is that MPs are sworn into office with the mandate of protecting the rights of citizens. And this bill, if it comes into law, is infringing on the rights of a specific group of citizens. As much as we want to hide it or claim it's not been part of our culture or it's not part of our history books, it is. It's not foreign. It's been happening for a very long time. And it's about time we accept persons from the LGBT community. They're not asking for anything. We are the ones deciding, okay, we're going to prohibit marriage, we're going to prohibit association. The bill clearly violates a lot of human rights. I'll give you one, for example. It's infringing on freedom of expression. It's infringing on freedom of association. So basically, you're telling me that if I'm an ally of the LGBTI community, then I face a certain number of years in prison just because I'm an ally of the community. It also prohibits any fundraising or sponsorship of any form on activities of LGBTI. And funny enough, Ghana AIDS Commission, which is they say the AIDS factor, and they are mentioning numbers. Right. Why not mention percentages? Again, in its entirety, it infringes on human rights. Again, Ghana is a secular state. We are not a Christian nation. We're not a Muslim nation.
Well, the Ghana AIDS Commission, in fact, came out to clarify that they are actually in favor of the bill. There was some earlier reports that they were against the bill. That they say is wrong. Just briefly on this.
I mean, she's raised some points, but I think where she's going is very slippery. Ghana is a secular state. Yes, fine. That's number one. We don't have a problem with that. We are going to protect the rights of every human being, including Ghanaians, the majority of Ghanaians, who say that we don't subscribe to LGBTQ. Finished. That doesn't mean that we are going to trample on the rights of those that are that behave in that manner. We are going to protect them as well, just as Martin Pevu rightly said. That even the Ghana Police Service says is going to protect people who say they are gay. Even if an armed robber, somebody comes out to say that I am an armed robber, it doesn't mean that he's committed a crime. He said that I am one. That doesn't mean that he's committed a crime. But that person, even when he has been caught in the act and the police have hold of him, all his rights are still enshrined and it's protected. That is why some of us, when we see policemen beating thieves in handcuffs, we get angry because we know that it is wrong and the police is not supposed to be doing that. The police is rather supposed to be protecting that alleged criminal until he's found guilty and sent to court or go through the processes, found guilty and sent to jail. Even when he goes to jail, their rights, all the rights of a human being or conferred on a human being are conferred on him in jail. That is why he cannot go to jail and be molested. That is why some of us even say that even when you are in jail, there are some other rights that must be even added to it. When you go to some jurisdictions, they have conjugal rights in jail. So we think that if you're going to be in jail for 30 years, you should have conjugal rights because it's even that one sometimes helps you change your behavior or reduce your depression and whilst you're in confinement. Therefore, we are not going to infringe on anybody's rights with this law. That is why all the amendments are coming through. When you look at the amendments, I mean, I don't have them here, but when you look at the amendments, it is also, I mean, some of the committee members raised these issues on how to protect the vulnerable in this matter. And even the mere fact that we are stopping promotion is a form of, I mean, blocking promotion of these learned behaviors or these wrong learned behaviors is a form of human rights protection for our children. So they shouldn't get us wrong. The fact that in other societies they can openly do it doesn't mean that it is right. In our society, yes, we say you cannot openly do it. The fact that you can do it in the confines of your bedroom with two consenting adults doesn't make it right. That is what our law is saying. The fact that two consenting adults sit in their bedroom and do whatever it can even be between a male and a female. You can break the law between a male and a female. A male and a female can still break the law and be consenting and break the law. So Amnesty International shouldn't get us wrong. Right. As the Parliament of Ghana, we are saying that we would make sure that every Ghanaian's rights under the law enshrined under the 1992 Constitution will be protected. However, we are saying that it is a crime to have same-sex relations, sexual intercourse and relationships within the confines of the space called Ghana. Finished.
Okay. Thank you.
We have Amnesty International. We have never said that our position against LGBTQ in its forms, it has to do with just religion.
Okay.
What we have said, that it frowns upon our society. You know how she concluded that Ghana is a secular state. The secularity of this state frowns upon this. And in any case, members of parliament, our first responsibility
is our constituents.
Is to represent our constituents. And our constituent says that we do not want LGBTQ. So this business of members of parliament swore an oath to protect the rights of people. The rights of people is the rights of what our people want us to do. Now, that is why every member of parliament, you are supposed to visit your constituency. And that's why we don't sit on Mondays. I haven't seen any constituency that says that I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to support this bill. And that is why some of us insisted that we must know the position of every MP. And I can bet my last penny. Find any MP who has the courage to say, I'm in support of LGBTQ. The person will lose his or her parliamentary primaries.
Mohammed, thank you. Thank you.
Heterosexuals in Ghana are not asking for any rights. Are we asking for any extra rights?
No.
Because the rights are already conferred on us. Why should, I mean...
somebody who is doing
exactly, somebody who is doing what we as a society don't accept, be asking for some rights that really do not exist.
All right.
This is key point. We are not offering new rights.
Thank you.
On heterosexuals.
The Tema Central Member of Parliament. And remember, we're live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. A number of your questions I asked on your behalf as well. So we'll see more comments, in fact, on our various platforms that we're streaming. On that bit of the representation that Mr. Mohammed, you talked about, that the core duty of the MP is to represent the citizens. That leads us into our next conversation because of the path that the minority has taken to boycott parliamentary proceedings whenever any of your colleagues who are facing court actually appear before the court of law. Some have raised the fundamental question of how that also denies your constituents representation in Parliament. Stay with me. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. We will talk about that. This is Key Point.
The 3FM Baby Fair is here.
Parents, make it a family affair with fun photo booths for family shoots, kids arena for the kids to have fun, and so much excitement.
This fair will be a one-stop shop for all childcare products, clothes, toys, child development products, and so much more for every child of every age.
3FM Baby Fair on the 7th July, 8th July, and 9th July 2023 at Marina Mall, Airport City, Accra.
To be a part of the fair and exhibit your products and services as a vendor, please call
0244 405027 right now.
The 3FM Baby Fair, your one-stop shop for all your childcare products. The 3FM Baby Fair is proudly brought to you by Marina Mall. 3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
My brother will come into my dreams and he keeps saying, fetch up at the end, mom. Give them the property.
That particular cocoa farm that was not mentioned in the will, that you did not disclose.
Was the cocoa farm bought in his name or it was bought in the brother's name?
Not every gift is a free gift. Some gifts are responsibilities.
That dream is about his conscience telling him, this is what you know, do what you know, or do what is right.
It's amazing how we feel so bad when we have bad dreams. Yet when we have wonderful dreams, we easily forget it.
They're meant to say all manner of stuff during sex, you know, without you, I can never live. You know, if you leave me, I will not be anybody. You see those stuff you're saying? You are covenanting words with blood. You are covenanting words with spirit.
These days, no talking, no anything.
Confessions shows on Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
MTN.
This week on Today's Woman, we speak to another phenomenal trailblazer, Dr. Nadia Adongo Finn. She got to Canada when she was 20, specialized in gerontology, and of course, engaged herself in a bunch of community activities. She's back home here in Ghana, occupying the office of Deputy Director of Diasporan Affairs. Make a date with us this Saturday, 3 p.m. right here on TV3.
Today's Woman, all new season with Cookie T show Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Latex Foam.
Responsible for what experts have described as the most crucial by-election in the country's recent history. James Gyakye Quayson became the subject of debate and controversy following the May 17 ruling by the Supreme Court, which declared the processes to his election in 2020 as null and void. It brought to an end a near 3-year litigation process while kicking start an intensive campaign which saw the two leading parties bring all their arsenals to battle. It was as intense as it was fierce, with pot shots and counter responses.
The president is wrong if he said that, because he's prejudicing the case in court. Innocent until proven guilty. He's not been proven guilty.
Constituents of Asin North, meanwhile, delivered their verdict with an overwhelming majority for James Gyakye Quayson.
I hereby declare Honorable James Gyakye Quayson as the Member of Parliament elect for the Asin North constituency.
With the House preparing to swear him in with an invitation to the general public, the controversy over the person, James Gyakye Quayson, appear far from over, with the Attorney General hitting back at persons calling for a discontinuation of the criminal case brought against him.
I'm not going to comment on it right now. I'll come up with a proper statement on the matter, and it will be in respect of all comments generally which have the tendency to subvert the administration of justice. I think that is very unhealthy for our democratic dispensation, and therefore we must not countenance him.
It does.
Well, so that's the Attorney General earlier in the week, after the Domahin had made his position quite clear. He's a High Court judge as well, that he would rather plead with the Attorney General and the President to file a nolle prosequi on this James Gyakye Quayson case. Attorney General responded saying these are unhealthy comments. Eventually, there was a statement that was released by the AG to that effect, and then mentioning other persons who make comments on this, but there was some silence on the executive arm of government making such statements about this particular case. Eventually, the members of parliament, the minority MPs, carried through the directive from the leadership that any time any of the 3 minority MPs who are facing some court cases appear before the court of law, they would boycott the business of the House and go to court to go and support them. Fundamental questions have been raised about that strategy as to how that also impacts on the duty of the MP to represent his or her constituents and do the business of Parliament. The Honorable Gavin Kwame Agboja also reiterated why they are doing this. Take a look.
We will not be participating in business on the floor because we are accompanying our 2 colleagues, Honorable Quayson and Honorable Atuforson, who are due to be in court this morning. Based on that, we are unable to attend to any government business. We'll be in court to support them. We are not participating in any business today as long as we are in court in solidarity of our colleagues who are being persecuted.
So there's Dr. Kesla Atuforson, the minority leader himself, who is facing the courts on the purchase of some ambulances while he was Deputy Finance Minister. Then there's Collins Dauda and James Gyakye Quayson as well. Murtala Mohammed So this strategy that you have taken, there's been that concern about if these three cases travel the full length or the long haul, it means that every time that these cases are called, you would be absent from Parliament, from the business of the House. You would not represent your constituents. Can you sustain this if these cases, and it appears it's not going to end anytime soon?
Well, first and foremost, I do not know how long it's going to travel. I mean, this was something that our leadership took in consultation with the caucus. And mind you, any decision that is taken at caucus, I mean, he knows, even from the majority, you sit together and then you brainstorm, and superior arguments would prevail. And that is what the leadership have always done. The NDC has never been against the prosecution of anybody who allegedly commits a crime. We are not against it. They aren't the only NDC people who have been prosecuted. And mind you, the prosecution of Honorable Ato Forson and Honorable Collins Dauda and Honorable Kwesi did not start today. The question is, why are we taking this decision now? At a time when it was even critical to take a decision that was going to affect government. We didn't do that. Because if we were to do this, Parliament would have indeed lacked the numbers to form quorum to even take decisions. We never did so. We have decided to do this because we feel that it has moved from just prosecution to witch hunting. That is how we have seen it. It has moved from prosecution to witch hunting.
Why?
And as long as the witch hunting continues, perhaps we may take the decision we've taken. On that day, I wasn't in court. I was at a committee meeting, Public Accounts Committee. Right. I was there, Honorable Aveji was there, Honorable Yusuf was there, not all of us, because we felt that the Public Accounts Committee at that time was critical, and we had invited people who have been cited for certain infractions. So we wait between going there with our colleagues and sitting to ensure that we discharge this responsibility as the legislature. We did so. Now, if the witch hunting stops, nobody would have any problem at all with this. You see, what happened in the matter of Gyekye Quayson? And surprisingly, I've heard people talking about, oh, we reneging on our responsibility as members of Parliament. Our conscience expect us to represent them in Parliament. We are leaving the Parliament and we are going to do things that they think that do not, serve the interests of our conscience. The question is, the people of Assin North were denied representation for over a year. The so-called leaders of civil society organizations and experts of our democracy who are now raising their voices every single space they get. Where were they? When the people of Assin North were denied representation, a court took a decision. Is that not the case? But the man was still the member of Parliament. Nobody said anything about that. They were denied representation. Myself and my colleagues, he has filed questions on the floor of Parliament of issues affecting his constituents. I have filed several questions. Some of the questions we have filed have been responded to. We have been able to find solutions to some of them. The people of Assin North were denied same opportunity. How about SAL? They have been denied representation for close to 3 years. Nobody says anything about that. Representation. If anybody has a problem within that area, who is going to make a case for him in Parliament? So you see, that is why I have always been talking about the hypocrisy and this cherry picking. In as much as you raise these issues, part of the responsibilities of members of Parliament is to defend, if I can quote the Amnesty International. She should be interested in this, the lady whose video you just played. I don't know why she never raised a voice when the people of Assin North were denied representation. I haven't heard what they have said, Amnesty International, in the matter of a denial of representation of the people of South. So what we did, Madam Amnesty International, is to protect the rights of the people of Assin North. Now, the man won the elections. You wanted to get the man out. You did everything. We spent the taxpayers' money needlessly. Taxpayers' money needlessly. No. It was needless.
Why?
You see, this is a man who was accused of not being holding dual citizenship. The Electoral Commission was petitioned. Before the general elections, the man was invited to appear before the Electoral Commission, a committee set up and headed by Dr. Shribo. On 27th, the man received the letter of renunciation.
7th of November.
Yes. So, and mind you, he applied for this nomination in 2019. 27th, he was supposed to appear before the Electoral Commission.
When did he file for it?
I'm coming. I'm saying that, then we can make references to Ndum case, if you want to argue on that logic. On 27th, he received the letter of renunciation. 27th, he appeared before the Electoral Commission, which is clothed with the capacity to conduct elections, to determine who is qualified by the electoral processes to contest as an MP or a parliamentary candidate. When he appeared before the committee and exhibited the letter of renunciation, the Electoral Commission cleared him and asked him to go contest. So the MPP knew, and they used a surrogate, the citizen of, an ordinary person from the constituency who doesn't know that the person is an MPP activist, and they got lawyers for that same person. They got lawyers for the person. Now, we've spent millions of Ghana cedis in conducting elections, and they went there and disputed money. The people of Assin North showed them pepper. The man won the elections. Now, having been denied of representation for over a year, and having won the elections again, you still denying the people of Assin North of representation. I want to speak directly to the people of Assin North. You remember I said it on this your program. The MPP hates you.
Why?
No, they do.
How did you say that?
I'm justifying that. No, let me provide the MPP.
What do you mean by hate?
What is more hatred than denying people of representation? No, tell me what your constituency, honorable. I want to ask you. I'm saying
for another vocabulary, but hate.
Which vocabulary?
Is too strong.
You see the pretense.
No.
It's hatred. Let's call a spade a spade.
We cannot hate.
Look. I'll tell. If you deny,
people that you have represented before.
Can I ask him a question? In your constituency, Tema Central, if assuming you are not an MP, and you were denied representation over a year and haven't restored that representation, hold on. The government decides to prosecute you, continue with the prosecution. Denying you the representation, won't you describe that as hatred? No. Be sincere. How will you describe it? How will you describe it?
There was a legitimate reason why the person, in fact, Gyakye Quayson, has been a disservice to the people.
How?
Because if he had done what was right from beginning, all these issues would
you see, you are not even being fair.
You know what? You are not even being responded to an invitation to this.
So he's not even being fair. I'm saying that the MPP, I don't know the word. If you could borrow me a word, I will use.
No.
So if I don't use a term,
the MPP has nothing to do with this.
So
it's the state.
The MPP love the people of Assin North.
The prosecution is being done by the state.
I say MPP love the people of Assin North.
The reasons why
you see. The MPP, and I will repeat that, they hate the people of Assin North.
Why
they denied them deliberately of representation.
No.
And haven't re-elected the same MP. But you did that to Sal for 3 years. If the people, your constituents, were denied representation for 3 years, would you have been happy? They denied them representation. The man won the elections after they spent state money to organize something we didn't even need in the first place.
We didn't need a by-election.
Why did we spend money? Why did we spend money? Why did we spend money in
the by-election was called by the Electoral Commission?
Why did we spend money? Why did we spend money in doing the very thing that we didn't need to spend money on?
Was the by-election is what?
I have just told you the man was petitioned against. He appeared before the Electoral Commission with the letter of renunciation on 27th. The Electoral Commission cleared him. You went behind, got your lawyers, and got someone to go to court. And you did so because of parochial partisan interest. You did so.
What did the court say?
You did so because.
Please.
You did so because of the hung nature of Parliament. You see, that sad aspect. And I told one of your leadership, everything you brought to Parliament, we have built consensus. Regardless the initial arguments and debate and strong positions that we have had in Parliament, we have been very cooperative with you in many issues that are pertinent to the good people of this country. Now, when you do this, you are taking an antagonistic posture, and that strengthens the NDC resolve. Adwoa Safo is not in Ghana. Or if she's in Ghana, she doesn't come to Parliament.
No, she comes to Parliament.
Oh, when was the last time you saw her in Parliament?
She was there yesterday, Thursday. She was there on Friday.